Hi everybody, I'm Hannah McAdams from Automatic Spelling, and this is part of my spelling series where I review several of the popular spelling programs, especially made for weak spellers and especially for homeschoolers. I do want to say that although I am a curriculum writer, I will try to be as non-biased as possible, and I do recommend lots of other spelling programs to students depending on their learning style and the temperament of the parent. So today I'm excited to tell you about all about spelling. It is a spelling program that I probably recommend most to other people, and I will tell you why in a little bit. I do not use this program. I use Spell to Write and Read. I think that those two, there's people that are on the All About Spelling camp and people that are in Spell to Write and Read camp, and I'm more Spell to Write and Read. But this is a really parent-friendly program, so I recommend it a lot. Because I have not used it, I'm not going to teach a sample lesson. There are lots of reviews and demonstrations on YouTube, and I will link a couple that I've watched. I don't have all the materials, so I don't feel really qualified to do that without all the materials. If you have not watched my Common Spelling Philosophies video, then you might want to do that, because All About Spelling does have very strong convictions about several components of spelling. And the first one is that they believe that you should be able to read before starting to learn to spell. All About Spelling is part of a parent, or is, it has a parent company, which is All About Learning, and they also teach all about reading. And they say that you should do All About Reading first, at least the first level, and then start spelling. There's really no reason why. I don't have a particular view about that. I have seen students who use spelling as a tool to learn to read, and I've seen students that wait until they're reading fairly confidently before they learn to spell. I don't think it really matters one way or the other, but they definitely recommend learning to read a little bit before you start adding that spelling component. So they are two different programs. You can do one or the other or both. But you do have to buy them separately. Okay, before we get started, I want to talk about multisensory and the definition of multisensory. So the literal definition of multisensory means that it involves more than one sense. Okay, that's it. So any spelling program can say, this is a multisensory program, because if you are hearing a word, like if a teacher is saying, please spell the word cat, then you hear it, and then you write it, and then you see it. So that's three senses right there. So I see, as I've been reviewing this, I've seen a lot of spelling programs claiming to be multisensory, and technically that's true. But I think that when most people think of the word multisensory, they think of a tactile or a kinesthetic activity that goes with it. I've seen some that say, oh, this is multisensory because it's color-coded. And yeah, that's one component that does change your senses a little bit, or involve your senses more. But this program is definitely kinesthetic and tactile. So you could definitely say that this is a multisensory program, no matter what your definition of that is. Okay. Let me talk about some of the materials that it uses. They have phonogram cards and rule cards and key cards. So rules are spelling rules, like when to double a consonant before adding a suffix, things like that. They have key cards, and that's just like a question that they ask a student, how many, or what are the vowels, and then the student will answer A, E, I, O, and U. Sound cards. I have not actually seen the sound cards, but I think that it's just like all the different spellings of one sound. I may be wrong about that. And then word cards, which are the spelling words from previous lessons and from what you've learned so far. And then also they use color chips. They're like little circles, plastic circles. And especially in the lower levels, they'll say, okay, here's the word hat. Can you pull down the different sounds that you hear? So for every sound in hat, you pull that down. Ah, you pull that down. T. So what they're doing is they're just segmenting the word into the sounds that it makes. Sometimes, there might be a word that has 5 letters, but only 3 sounds. So they will work on listening for those sounds. And then after they do that and practice that, then they say, okay, well, this sound uses 2 letters, or this sound uses, 4. So that's one thing. And then the thing that they're really known for is their letter tiles. I don't have letter tiles to show you, but I can link, as I said before, some lessons that other people have taught. I really like the letter tiles. They are different colors, so they are red and blue, depending on whether they're a vowel or a consonant. And then they also have like phonograms together, so OW is together and CK is together, things like that. And so the students spend a long time spelling words with those letters. So you might say, spell the word code, and they bring down the C, and they bring down the O, they bring down the D. They look at that says cod. How can we make the O say O? And then they bring down the E. So that is really, I think, what makes it different. They are magnetic, and the other thing that I like about them is that they are lowercase. Please don't have your students spell with Scrabble tiles and things like that, because those are capital letters. And most of what we use in English is in lowercase. So it's just a better habit to use those lowercase letters. Okay, so let's talk about the program itself. The reason that I recommend it a lot to people who are looking for a good spelling program is, first of all, this is definitely an OG or Orton Gillingham approach to teaching spelling. They teach syllable types, they teach spelling rules, they teach phonograms, they use multisensory, and I really mean tactile when I say that. So they use a lot of what qualifies a program to be Orton Gillingham. Orton Gillingham is the only researched way to teach children with dyslexia to read and spell. So this is definitely going to fit the bill. Now, I will say it's mostly used for mildly dyslexic students who just need a little bit of help, a little bit more intensive and very purposeful, instruction to learn to spell. If you have a student who is moderately or severely dyslexic, then you're probably going to want to look at something that's specifically designed for them. This will teach students who are, really any OG's program will teach any student, but if you have a severely dyslexic student, then you're going to want to find a tutor, maybe a Orton Gillingham trained tutor or a Barton tutor to kind of deal with that. Okay? All right. As I said, this is very parent friendly. It is scripted. So let me read something. Okay, so the word is railroad, and the students spell out the word railroad, or and then you say, what is a compound word? And they say 2 smaller words put together. Okay, how do you divide a compound word between the 2 words? So you divide those into syllables. Divide this word into syllables, and then they divide them. And then how is the O spelled in this word? So for road, it's spelled O-A. So you have a part, and then the students have a part, and it goes back and forth like that. It's very scripted. So in that case, I think that it's very teacher friendly because it's not, or parent friendly because it's not very hard to learn how to do. If you can read and you just walk through it, you can do it. Now, I do think that it is fairly involved. I recommend reading the lesson and, preparing beforehand. You need to get all your supplies out, things like that. If you're not a very organized person, it may be a little crazy for you because you have to get all the cards and supplies out and everything. There are videos that talk about how to be organized, how to organize all your materials with this program, so you might want to watch some of those too. I would say it's the most Orton Gillingham approach of all the programs I've reviewed so far. It is good for mildly dyslexic. I've already talked about that. Yeah. Okay. Then the other thing is, again, if you have not seen my Common Philosophies of Spelling video, another one of their philosophies is that they teach one skill per lesson. And I think most of the time they say a lesson is every week or so, but you could go faster or slower depending on your student. But like each lesson uses either the same spelling pattern, so maybe all the words end in AT, or the same sound with different spellings. I saw one lesson that was all about the A sound, the long A sound, so they use EIGH as one, AY as one, AI as one, and so they have different words that use that A sound, but in different spellings. Or sometimes they're just about syllable types. So I saw one list where all the words ended in LE, so that's a syllable type. My daughter just smiled because her name is Ellie, and she likes the letters LE to represent her name. Okay, so I'm trying to think if there's something else that I wanted to say about that. Okay, if this doesn't work for you, if you try this and you think, oh yeah, this is a great program, and then it's really not helping students spell outside of the lessons, then your student either needs more intervention, maybe with a Barton or just an Orton Gillingham tutor, or they may need more practice. Now, they do have dictation every day, which I love, and there's a lot of dictation. Every lesson has like 10 or more dictation words or dictation sentences, and the sentences are, some of them are questions, some of them are just statements, and that's how they involve those review words. So in this one, this lesson is about WH words, so like who, what, where, okay? And the dictation is who is napping on the bed. So they've already studied all of those words. They have to know that they need to double the P in napping. So they're using a lot of the skills that they've already been taught to write those dictation sentences. So that's kind of how they review, is through dictation. Okay, let me go over my notes here. So the cost, there are 7 levels. Each level is $49.95, and that comes with everything you need except for the letter tiles. The letter tiles is $22.85, and that is a one-time purchase. So you definitely want to buy that for the first level that you buy. It is a multi-sensory program that uses letter tiles to teach spelling. I would say the gimmick is definitely the letter tiles. That's very different. They use a lot of dictation as well. It is teacher intensive, but the lessons are scripted. It is fairly easy to understand. If you are interested in the OG approach, this is a really good way. I'm not saying this takes the place of an OG training, but they are using those OG components to teach, so you'll learn a lot just by teaching it. I would say it's about 20 minutes a day for this program. It is definitely Orton Gillingham approach, and they do use phonograms. I love that the letter tiles have phonograms on them, so they put the OY together. I love that. And they also, as far as multisensory, they use, there's extensions. If you have a student that's really struggling with a certain word or a group of words, let me see if I can find this. They call them troublemakers. They have a whole 2 pages on what to do with troublemakers. They've got a jail that they can put rule breakers in, and then some tactile practice like sand in a shoebox lid, fine sheet of sandpaper, using different fabrics to spell out words, or spelling words in rice, or even pudding, can put pudding in a plastic bag and write in, on that, and lots of different things. So they have a lot of great ideas to kind of extend that if your student is struggling with a certain word. Okay. All right, so I would say that many, and they also have, I did not say this, they also have a letter tile app, which is worth purchasing in my opinion. So it is, you could use it on, some sort of device, and then instead of using the physical tiles that are magnetic on a magnetic board, you can once in a while use a device. So if you're traveling or something and want to do your spelling program, that would definitely be an option, or if it's just faster to use that, you could definitely do that. I will say that many students will do well with this program. It is a great program. It's the one that I recommend the most. The student that this will not work for is students who need more review, or students who need more intervention, or I have seen some students that are good spellers and it's just a lot of work for something that they already understand. So if they're a natural speller, this may not be the best program for them. And then the other thing is, if a student doesn't like all those, if they get overwhelmed with all the letter tiles and all of those kind of things, then they might not like this program. This is my notes. I said, this is one of the most popular homeschooling spelling programs. I can see why. It's very easy to use. It is, I see a lot of people that like spell to write and read, and a lot of people that like all about spelling. Unlike spell to write and read, it focuses on one rule or phonogram at a time. And each level progresses very slowly, which can be positive or negative depending on the student. So hopefully that gives you some, just a glimpse into this program. Again, I have seen several really great spelling programs or reviews that people are actually using the spelling program, so they can kind of show you all the different parts and pieces. But it's a good program. I really like it. And I think that's all I have for you today. I will talk to you next time. So to sum up, this is kind of a chart that just shows everything at a glance. We are talking all about spelling today. The cost is $44.95 for each level, plus a one-time purchase of $22.85 for the letter tiles. There are 7 levels total, so it can be kind of an expensive program, but it does keep most of its resale value, so you can get some of that back. It is an Orton-Gillingham approach to spelling that is very easy to implement. The gimmick, I would say, is students use letter tiles to build words. Now, in the upper levels, they kind of abandon the tiles, but especially at the beginning, they use them. It is scripted, so it's very easy for teachers to use, but teachers must prepare in advance. This is not just an open the book and go kind of program. I think that it's a fairly easy learning curve. If you take it step by step, they show you what to do. And daily duration, about 20 minutes a day. Okay, and it is an Orton-Gillingham approach. In fact, I said that this is, in my opinion, the closest to the Orton-Gillingham approach of those spelling programs that I am reviewing. So yes, definitely. There are phonograms. Even the letter tiles are organized into phonograms. So like OY is one of the phonogram letter tiles. They use lots of spelling rules. It is multisensory. There is a tactile component to it. A lot of times when you hear multisensory, the spelling creators are saying that it uses more than one sense because you're looking at words and you're hearing words and you're writing them. But this actually has a tactile component to it as well. There is a letter tile app, but that's the only technology they have. It will work for most students. So this is really one that I recommend a lot because it's fairly easy for most students. It is not ideal for moderately to severe students or students with moderately to severe dyslexia, students who need more practice, or natural spellers might get bored, especially in the beginning levels. So that is all I have for you today. I will talk to you guys next time.